And welcome back. We're here today with Alladan from BTC Trading Cards talking about Bitcoin trading cards and Bitcoin. What else are we going to talk about? Welcome back to the show, Alladan. Now, we were talking about your next series of cards you're coming out with a couple of days ago on a phone call. And you were telling me that you thought you were having a lot of requests for a insert card of Bitcoin boomers. Now, is that right? Am I right on that?
You're right. Now, so each of these conferences we do, we try to come up with something really special for that conference. And I mean, what better idea to come out with for a BitBlockBoom than like a boomer series? So 2121 packs will be created for BitBlockBoom, and I've got a lot of ideas I've been working on, honestly, since I met you for this boomers and Bitcoin series that we'll be doing for you guys. So I think that one's going to be a lot of fun.
And just to make it clear to everybody, BitBlockBoom does not stand for Bitcoin, blockchain, and boomers. You know, people ask me that all the time. Is that what it stands for? I'm going, no, it doesn't. I didn't even think about it until someone said it to me one day. So it does not stand for, it stands for just the explosion of Bitcoin into the world. So I want to make sure that's clear for everybody. But getting back into Bitcoin itself, most people, you know, we had a wave, I guess, in the last year is what I'm getting at, of NFTs. NFTs went crazy. Now Bitcoin, people are putting ordinals on Bitcoin, which is basically an NFT, but on the Bitcoin blockchain. Anyone else who was doing what you're doing right now, I feel, would have a ton of NFTs out there. I mean, they just would be going, yeah, buy our cards, but if you want, you can buy the one-on-one image that you can have on your phone for $5,000. You know, you even see presidential candidates doing that now, ex-presidents doing that now. Why haven't you done that?
So, I mean, the having kids myself, everything I try to do as much as possible is get them off their phone, get them off the internet and back into the real world. And I don't have a problem with people, whatever they want to do with their own money or their own project is up to them, free market all the way. But me personally, I'm trying to create ways for people to come outside of the metaverse and join the real world again. And trading cards have been around 150 years. You can hold it in your hand. It's a physical good. And when it comes to collectibles, I just see a lot more validity in something that, I mean, look behind me, that you can display on your wall, in your room, on your desk, something that's tangible and real, and you can hold it in your hand. The foil will never sparkle on a NFT the way that it'll sparkle on a piece of paper in a trading card. And honestly, I never necessarily created these to be super collectible. I created these to be a fun way for people to learn about Bitcoin. And I know that people love trading cards. I've always loved trading cards. Like you were saying in the beginning, being able to rip packs with your dad, with your mom. I know like Pokemon is definitely crosses the bridge from boys and girls. It's just a lot of fun to be able to rip wax, and you can't rip wax on an NFT, and it takes away so much fun. And I never really saw the enjoyment of an NFT. I feel like it's a lot more of a gamble, in my opinion, and is each to own. I mean, everyone has the right to do whatever they want. I'm not hating on anyone for what they're doing. It's just, for me personally, like, getting back to the physical world is the most important thing. And again, you cannot rip wax on your phone.
Yeah, it's quite not quite as much fun to do that. And I really don't see the fun of showing someone on my phone and saying, look at this thing I just bought for $10,000. And then I could take a screenshot of it, and I have one too. Maybe it's not on the blockchain, but I have one too. So I really don't. I personally don't see the value of that, and I don't think they've been holding up through this bear market, if I'm correct. But I don't follow them, so I could be wrong on that. So there may be crypto people or NFT people, you know, who will argue that point with me. I don't know. You know, a minute ago we were talking about boomers, and you were going to do a boomer series or whatever, a boomer card. What do you think's holding up boomers the most? Have you got any thoughts on that? Because really, the majority of the money, I would say right now, is held by the boomers. You know, we're getting ready to see the biggest wealth transfer that we've ever seen in the history of mankind. You know, because these boomers grew up and money was a lot easier to get, I guess. Or, well, I don't know, it might be easier now with the way they're printing it and giving it away, but they were able to amass more of it. So this wealth transfer is getting ready to happen. What do you think's holding up this high level, this amount of money from making an entry into Bitcoin? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. And I mean, I could only take it from my own personal experience. And my dad being a boomer, he had no interest in Bitcoin at all. He doesn't like computers, doesn't like phones. He's a farmer, so for him to being off the internet as much as possible, he still doesn't have Wi-Fi at his house. And I grew up without a TV in the house. So what brought him into Bitcoin? Because now he is a 100% Bitcoiner all the way. And it was the freedom aspect of Bitcoin. And I think a lot of, personally, and I could totally be wrong, but I believe a lot of what's holding, especially the boomers back, is just the way that it's presented to them. There's so much more to Bitcoin than number go up. There's so much more to Bitcoin than being able to hold a digital asset on your phone, on your computer, on a cold wallet. I think we just need to present Bitcoin in a better way. To each individual person, Bitcoin means something else. That's why you asked me that question. You said so many different people have had an answer to it. We have to figure out what drives each person and explain Bitcoin and present Bitcoin in a way that they will understand it and they will get the need for Bitcoin out of it. And I do believe that if we really start explaining Bitcoin in the way of it being a freedom money and it taking away the powers from the state, from the people that have been robbing us for so long. I mean, an example, I had a guy say, well, we have to have the banks. Without the banks, how am I going to take a loan to buy a house? And I said, well, back in the 50s, you didn't need a bank to buy a house. You could go to work at a basic job. And if you were willing to save up for a couple of years, you could buy a house. It definitely takes your priority of saving. But since then, I mean, we've just been completely robbed, and inflation is the hidden tax that is just ripping us apart right now. So I do think we just need to find a way to describe Bitcoin to each individual person. And I think there's a lot of different reasons why the boomers will be getting into Bitcoin over the next generations, like Gen X and Gen Z.
I agree with you on the internet, the internet part. I mean, you know, so many boomers that I know, you know, they can jokingly say, I check my emails once a month, even if I don't have to. You know, they just don't use net, so they would prefer gold. You know, they say, they understand gold. They may not actually have gold, but they understand the concept. But they're having a hard time moving that concept into digital gold. I'm just going to put it that way. They're having a real hard time with that concept. But their children do not have a problem with that concept, and their grandchildren definitely won't have a problem with that concept. So I have a feeling when a lot of these gold bugs die who've been holding on to this gold forever, their kids or grandkids are going to be heading down to the gold shop, cashing that stuff in and buying Bitcoin with it. They're going to be going, why in the hell did he put all this money into this gold? Who wants to carry this stuff around with him? And we're going to see a turnaround, a generational turnaround maybe. As many boomers are getting into it, a lot of them are going to have a hard time getting into it, and it's going to happen with the next generational turn. That's just my thoughts on the matter. But that internet, the amount they use the internet is the main thing. They didn't grow up with it. They didn't have a computer until they got a phone. And many of them wouldn't have a computer now if they didn't have a phone. So that's the big turnaround.
Well, that and it's accepting the fact that the CBDC is coming, and most people don't want to accept that fact, especially the boomers, because they've been around so long with cash. It's hard for like the majority of people that I talk to for them to accept that we're going CBDC.
Yeah, I agree completely. And when we come back, we're going to go over CBDs real quick, because some people may not know what that is. That's a great point, Alladan. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsors, so stay tuned.